To a surface level, things may look ordinary, but look a little deeper because all around you, the world is shifting and evolving, and you, my love, are transforming right along with it. My name is Comet, and welcome to Destiny Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological forecast for the week of October 2nd to October 9th, 2023, where we are discussing, just as we do every single week here in my Cosmic Corner with a beverage in hand, what is ahead within your week, within your universe. How will you feel these cosmic themes and influences that we are moving through as you navigate your mundane life? And I say mundane reality because sure, there will be aspects of this week and every week of October 2023 that do feel typical. You've got to go to work, you have to pick up the kids, you have to handle the errands, you go to the gym. Like, things can feel mundane and typical, but look deeper. We are officially in eclipse season. The first eclipse will be next week. It's almost like the month of October 2023 is tinged with a little extra significance, where sure, you can brush off that random person that you met. You can let go of that silly little idea that came into your head. You can let go of that small conversation that you had with your partner. But look deeper, because the thing about what transpires around eclipses is that we're entering into this window where it's considered that fated events find us. And all around us, small shifts and evolutions are occurring that are hinting to us where our North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra work and utter transformation awaits. So pay attention, look deeper. And if I were to assign one word to describe the whole of October 2023's astrology, it would be that word transformation. We have Pluto involved in both of the eclipses. We also have many harsh Pluto aspects starting with this week. And outside of being the planet of transformation, Pluto also represents transformations that take place on a more psychological, deep level. What is beneath the surface? And so when it comes to this week's astrology, there is a temptation to want to just keep things surface. Like, have you ever spent time with somebody where it's like you're vibing, things are going great, but you just have this weird vibe. You just have this weird energy that you can't shake off. And you're trying to convince yourself, you're like, I'm crazy, there's no way, they're so sweet, but something within you is like, there's something off here. And maybe you're not feeling this as it relates to one-to-one connections within your universe, but there's something within your universe that you're like, there's something that I want to dig deeper into. There's something that I want to kind of suss out. There's something that I want to essentially plunge to the depths in order to understand. Now, it's important when it comes to Pluto energy. Pluto can be a very paranoid planet, and so I'm not saying you have to move into this week like being paranoid, being closed off to everyone. All I'm saying is if you get a gut instinct, if you get like a feeling that stirs within you deep dive, don't just brush it off. Write it down. I always recommend as we move into eclipses, write down even just small conversations, small epiphanies, little events that transpire. Those can be little hints and harbingers really around where your eclipse stories will be. So pay attention. Outside of that, some of you have felt like you are in a rut. You have felt stuck and stagnant, like you're just kind of like moving in circles and not really progressing. And you might be asking, or you could have been asking, like, universe, can we shake this up? Can we get some new characters into my world? Can we get some new plot points? Like, I'm ready for things to get shaken up. And to that I say, the universe has heard you and delivering. For those of you who have like Uranus or Pluto transits this year, you're probably like, no, not me. I was not asking for this. But either way, there is some forward momentum building this week and beyond, where we're finally getting clearance to kind of move into a new chapter of our lives. Events are speeding up as we get closer and closer to this eclipse. Adding to that, we have Venus clearing the shadow this Saturday, finally wrapping up the ongoing Venus retrograde in Leo story that we've been in since late July 2023. So it's almost like with Venus entering new terrain of the sky, we're getting clearance to take all of that data that was extracted during Venus retrograde in Leo around what our heart is in and what our heart is not in, and we're getting clearance in order to integrate those shifts, maybe in very practical ways, with Venus entering her fall of of Virgo this week. Adding to that, we also have Mercury entering Libra this week. So this is a shift from Mercury being exalted within her home turf of Virgo into entering the very balanced, rational arena of Libra. There could be some deliberation. There could be some weighing out around, am I reading into this too much? Is this a friend or a foe? There could be this more indecisive, balanced perspective that our mental spaces are shifting into this week. We also have some Mercury aspects. We have Mars square Pluto on Sunday, as I was talking about. There is a lot to get into, so let's go ahead and proceed with our thematic as well as day-by-day analysis. I just want to let you know that if you are hearing all of these intense eclipse themes and you're like, Haley Comet, I'm freaking out, I don't know what to expect, I just want to let you know I do create some astrology assets if you want to check it out on Magic Monthly that helps you kind of understand what are the energies that are showing up this month and how can you work with it as part of your practical daily life. Like, what can you expect at the workplace? What can you expect during, elementary school pickup? Like, when it comes to Magic Monthly, which is my membership tier, I create some astrology assets to sort of demystify the cosmos and like figure out how this is actually going to show up as you navigate your universe. So you can check that out by clicking the join button or the link within my description. But without further ado, take a step inside my Cosmic Cafe. What are you sipping on to start the week? Today I have a pumpkin chai, and I wanted to wait until I could try it on camera to give you my honest review. And yes, I did go to Starbucks, okay. A white girl drinking a pumpkin drink in October. Groundbreaking, truly. Never been done before. So my thoughts. I've taken a couple sips. I've let it settle on the palate. I forgot that I don't like the chai from Starbucks. I completely forgot that. I just don't like the way that their chai tastes. It's okay. I don't know, a little underwhelming. And honestly, my motivation for going to Starbucks was not even the pumpkin chai. I just saw it when I was there and I was like, we'll give it a pumpkin try. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This was an afterthought. What I really was there hunting and gathering was the pumpkin scone. Have you guys tried this scone? It is so good. I'm really not a Starbucks girly. I don't go that often, but that scone I lose my mind over. It's so soft. The icing is so delightful. I allow myself to have one every October. It's like my special treat to myself. And I'm currently in a season of life that's super busy. And I was telling myself all morning, I was like, Haley, as soon as you finish the 12 packets of astrological prep, your reward is that you're gonna walk to Starbucks, you're gonna get a pumpkin scone. Like, it was the motivating, driving factor within my mind. Like, gotta get these packets done, gotta get these packets done, so I could go get a pumpkin scone. My October treat to myself. And lo and behold, upon my arrival, they're out. Or not even out. It's simply not there. So I inquire, I'm like, where's the pumpkin scones? Are they not in season yet? It is really new to October, and they were discontinued. Isn't that so heartbreaking when like you've been looking forward to something and then it's like not there anymore and you're like, no. So I would love to know, has there been like a heartbreak? It's dramatic, but has there been like a heartbreak of like a fast food item that's been taken away from you, or maybe like at your grocery store, something that you adored and that they discontinued? I would really love to know below, because I'm not kidding. Pumpkin scones from Starbucks. I know it's very basic of me, but oh my God, they were so good. But no sweat, because I found a recipe and I'm gonna try to bake them as soon as I get back from my work trip that I'm preparing for right now. So I'll let you know how that goes. But anyway, so I was there at Starbucks. The pumpkin scones are discontinued. And there's a line, so I got to shift. And I'm not a Starbucks girl, so I don't really know the other pastries. Like, I really just like the pumpkin scone there. And so I saw other scones. So I was like, okay, I'll do those scones. It's like these little vanilla scones. So it's all set, got one of those. And then they call my name and the bag is empty. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, I am so sorry. We're actually out of that scone. And that one's not discontinued. They were just like out of it at the store. And I was like, no, like I just had all of these pivots to my scone aspirations, but I had already paid for it, and I was like, it's gonna be complicated to do like a refund. So he was like, I can give you any other pastry. So I was like, now I have to pick again, and there's all these people, and I was like so stressed. So I just went with coffee cake, and it was delightful. So I think there's a eclipse season message in there around sometimes the universe doesn't give you what you want, i.e. my pumpkin scone or my second place choice vanilla scone. Sometimes it gives you what you need, because truly that coffee cake was amazing. And I think this is a season of life and a month in life when we just need to embrace change. I will grieve my pumpkin scone, but maybe this opened me up for my baking era. Maybe this like pumpkin scone baking is gonna like awaken this new passion within me. Maybe coffee cake is gonna be my new October treat. Who knows? All I know is that moving into this month, clinging to what was is fruitless. The pumpkin scones are gone. The past is gone. All we can do is embrace our evolution moving into October 2023. So Starbucks wisdom for you. Let's go ahead and take it into the vibe check of the week. So now that you have sat through my Starbucks saga, let's go ahead and take it into vibe check of the week, which is essentially when we take all of the ingresses and the transits that we will experience within this week's astrology and compare it to a real life scenario, so that even if the terms Venus entering Virgo, Mercury trining Pluto, if that doesn't necessarily elicit a strong emotion or awareness around how you'll feel that energy within your week, we compare these celestial energetics to a real life scenario so that you can kind of latch on to, oh, I've gone through something similar to that, or I kind of know what that feels like. This week's astrology feels like that new friend. It feels like that new friend that you meet where you're like, holy cow, where have you been all my life? You say that you like tennis, this person loves tennis. You say that you love Marvel movies, this person has seen every one. It's like everything that you mention, this person's like, yeah, me too, same. And you're like, are we the same person? Like, are we meant to be best friends? And everything's sweet and it's nice and you guys are having so much fun getting to know one another. You guys are going to the movies. You guys are going to the pumpkin patch. You guys are having movie nights and drinking wine. You're just having so much fun getting to know this new person. And there's this weird gut feeling that you can't shake off. Because there's nothing wrong happening. Everything's cool. You're having great conversations with this person. There's so many similarities, but you can't help but feel like something is a little off about this particular connection. And you look deeper, and all of those similarities that at first you were like, the cosmos must be pushing us to be friends. Like, we are the same soul. Like, where have you been my whole life? All of those similarities, they're starting to sit a little weird with you when you mention that you're really into this niche anime character and this new friend is like, oh my god, they're my favorite. And when you say that you went through something when you were at a very young age, this person also says, yeah, that also happened to me too. And you're starting to feel a little unsettled and a little uneasy. And like, to a surface level, everything's fine, everything's great. But deep down, something within you is stirring. You decide to dye your hair red. This person, 2 days later, dyes their hair red. You're looking at their style and you're noticing that they're starting to dress more and more like you. They're starting to take on your mannerisms. They're starting to take on your interests. They claim they were theirs the entire time, but you're noticing you have to be the one to mention these things. And when you mention a fact about that niche anime character that you adore, this person is clueless about it. So you're like, what's really going on here? When you introduce this person to your partner, you notice this person is being incredibly flirty with your partner. When you say you're going out for a particular job, this individual decides to go out for the same job. You're starting to wonder, are you a friend or are you an enemy? It's no coincidence within astrology that the house of one-to-one connections, the 7th house, is also the house of enemies. Like, if you've heard the terminology, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Now, I'm not trying to put fear within you all. Like I said, Pluto energy can sometimes make you a little paranoid, right? I'm not saying we need to be paranoid and close it off to new people. All I'm saying is be a little discerning. Dig a little deeper. That's what Pluto energy asks. It doesn't mean fear the worst and obsess, but it does mean dig a little deeper and really question, what are your intentions really? If you're getting a gut feeling, trust that. So the reason why this week's astrology feels like this sort of weird dynamic. So firstly, we have the sun in Libra, we have Mercury entering Libra this week, and we have Mars in Libra. And on Sunday, Mars in Libra squares Pluto in Capricorn. So there might be ulterior motives that we are not necessarily privy to. But again, your instincts could be trying to tell you something around. Something just feels off. Like, to a surface level, we're vibing, we're having fun, I'm feeling seen, right? But deep down, there's just a weird vibe, and I can't help but think that you're being competitive with me. And again, it's not like overt competition, right? That would be Mars in a position of rulership. Mars in Aries would be like, yeah, I'm competing with you, and that's clear, right? It's being very forthright and direct about what it is that we want. But with Mars in its detriment of Libra, Libra is the energy of peace and harmony. So even though Mars does not like being in this territory, there is an energy of Mars in Libra in which we can get what it is that we want, that's Mars, through charm, charisma. That's the energy of Libra, as well as relationships, partnerships. And so with this energy of Mars and Libra squaring Pluto, it's almost this energy where it's like someone might be trying to be competitive with you or even siphon energy or inspiration or ideas off of you. But like to a surface level, it's like everything looks fine. We're all getting along. We're all harmonious. But there's like something underneath that's telling you this is something you need to look a little deeper into. That is mirrored by Mercury trining Pluto this week as well. And we also have, towards the beginning of the week, we have Mercury before it enters Libra a little bit later. We have Mercury in Virgo opposing Neptune. So that's that energy where you're like, am I crazy? Is this in my head? Because that tends to come up when we're starting to notice a weird dynamic, is we really dismiss ourselves, where you're like, that is weird that they dyed their hair red 2 days after I did. But then you're like, okay, stop. You're being crazy. You're being insane. People dye their hair red all the time. You get a tattoo. 2 days later, this person gets a tattoo. It's of a bow. You're like, okay, that's a little weird that it happened right after me. But you're like, okay, you're being crazy. The world does not revolve around you. You're reading into this too much. Why are you trying to block this potential connection with this new friend? There's this energy where we could be questioning our judgment a little bit or not trusting our instincts. But with Mercury trining Pluto, there's this energy around wanting to dig a little deeper and perhaps asking your friend what's their favorite part about that niche anime character, asking your friend why they got a bow tattoo. Like, not being paranoid, but just kind of plunging deeper into where is this coming from? Like, are you copying me? Are you trying to be me? Are you a friend or a hater? That is the vibe. And there can be this deliberation energy within your mind, right? With Mercury and Libra, where you could be like, on one hand, they must be a friend, right? We've been spending all this time together. We get along so well. We play tennis together. But on the other hand, they say they love tennis, but their form is terrible and they don't even know what the term love means in tennis. So there's almost like this back and forth sort of indecision taking place within our mental space, but I should really say deliberation, because the highest vibration of Mercury in Libra is just taking the logic and kind of wanting to find a fair solution or trying to come to a balanced perspective around what's really going on here. So there's going to be a couple different ways that this energy will come to the surface within your world. So we will completely get into it. I just want to make a quick note that all times that I mention are PDT, Pacific Daylight Time. So please adjust to your time zone if you are located elsewhere in the world than I am. I also have timestamps below. If I didn't forget them, they should be available there so that you could jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day, as well as play with the gear icon to slow me down, to speed me up, to align with how it is that you process information. And also, can I just say, not me claiming I didn't like the chai, and it's completely gone by Monday. So maybe I did like the chai. So without further ado, Monday, October 2nd, we have this interesting teeter-totter between fact and fiction, exemplified by Mercury in Virgo, who represents fact, and Neptune in Pisces, who represents fiction. Now, fiction can be so beautiful. It can create new worlds. It's imagination that can create all sorts of possibilities, many of which that could be anchored within music and books and all of these magical worlds. But it could also be a planet where we question what is real. And perhaps we're even making up these stories about people's intentions without really taking the opportunity to dig deep and ask themselves. So Neptune has two sides of the coin. On one, there could be this energy, like in the vibe check, where you're doubting your mind. Like you're like, it's all in your mind. You're being crazy. This is not real. This is not grounded within reality. Where you're like, it's not real. It's not real. You're trying to come back to earth. You're trying to convince yourself it's crazy. It's all being made up within your head. But on the other side of the coin, you could be investing a lot of energy within the fiction of the matter, making up all these stories around how your friend is trying to be you and they want to steal your partner, and they have all these ulterior motives, right? Spending so much time sort of deep diving into this world that is not grounded within reality. So when it comes to oppositions, there can sometimes be a tendency to go to extremes in one of the energy, whether it's Mercury being like, it's all in your head, like your intuition's off, or whether it's overly in the Neptune, where it's like dreaming up all of these worlds and all of these possible intentions of why this friend is trying to take over your life and be your clone or what have you. And so the ask in navigating this energy is to find that balance, right? Sun's in Libra, to find that balance between the two around honoring the data that's coming up. If there is a gut instinct, write it down, note it. Just, it's not saying you have to obsess and freak out and dream up every hypothesis on why this person is trying to steal your identity, but just pay attention. Just be like, interesting, noted, noted. One of my guilty pleasures is Bravo, and I'm watching The Real Housewives of New York. They have like a new Real Housewife of New York cast, and one of the gals, Jessel, was saying how she has lists on people where if they do something that kind of sits weird with her, she'll write it into her notes app. And I honestly suggest that, because sometimes we can get in our head around, you made that up, or kind of fogging the details, and it helps to write it down so that you can remember, no, you did say that you loved that niche anime character and then you didn't know that part. No, you did say that you played tennis in high school and then you were literally the worst tennis partner that I've ever played tennis with ever. Like, sometimes when we are in that space where we are questioning our own reality, it helps to be able to reference something to be like, no, this happened. Like, I'm not delusional. I'm not in my head. This happened. And sometimes it also provides clarity when we have something written down around, okay, all right, it is weird. It is a weird choice that this individual got bubblegum ice cream last time that we got ice cream, but is it a red flag? Maybe not. Maybe they just weirdly like bubblegum ice cream. Does anybody like bubblegum ice cream? I really want to know. If you don't have it where it is that you are, it's blue and it has little things of bubblegum within it, like little gumballs, and I just don't get it. Are you meant to be chewing the gum as you're eating the ice cream? It's just like functionally a nightmare. My Virgo moon cannot. That would personally raise some cause for concern for me, but again, maybe I would write that down and be like, okay, you know, being someone's friend doesn't mean we have to have the same ice cream taste. Like, maybe she likes chewing gum while she's enjoying ice cream. All I'm trying to say here is I don't want you to discount or dismiss yourself as being crazy or this is not grounded within reality, because the thing is it may have come from somewhere. And notice how I'm advocating for this balanced standpoint. I'm not saying that you need to feed into every single paranoid thought that you have, but I want you to trust your intuition and trust it as data. And for a lot of you that I talk to, whether it's from relationships or from family or from experiences of people who warp your reality, sometimes it can make you not trust yourself, because there's been certain things that have been projected onto you where you're like, did that happen? Was I being traumatic? Was I being crazy? Sometimes that residue or that debris can sort of stay with you, where it really sinks into your being, where you start to fundamentally doubt yourself and not trust your judgment. And so I think with North Node in Aries, we're being asked to really chisel and refine our instincts and really trust our instincts and trust ourselves to be able to initiate and advocate for ourselves, and letting our mind detangle from the projections or the judgment that other people put on us that made us feel like we can't trust these gut feelings. Because again, when someone's always calling you, you're crazy, it's all in your head, it's all in your head, you start to like wonder, like, am I crazy? Is it all in my head? And like, one of the most horrible things, in my opinion, there's a lot of horrible things that you could do to somebody, but in my opinion, one of the most horrible things that you could do to somebody is make them question their own reality. Like when you have a gut instinct and you're like, is this the case? Is this the case? And they're like, no, you're crazy. No, you're crazy. And then you find out that is true. It just messes with you so deeply. So to liken this to the vibe check, that would be an energy where you're like, hey, I noticed a couple of things, like I'm really liking our new friendship, but I just noticed these things. And if that friend was like, no, you're crazy, it's all in your head. And then as the story continues, you're like, but was it? And you question your own reality, which I think why it bothers me so much is because it transcends that experience. It transcends that partnership. You bring that energy into every other situation within your life where you fundamentally do not know if you can trust your instincts or even trust your intuition. And that, in my opinion, is what makes it so insidious and so bothersome. Like I'm a Pisces. I already struggle with knowing what is real. I don't need somebody else making me question my reality as well. And so there's themes of that coming up this week because, like we talked about when Sun opposed Neptune a couple weeks back, is that Neptune can make us doubt ourselves. We can find that we are viewing ourselves or our lives through what's being projected onto us or assumed about us. And so with Mercury opposite Neptune, whether it's writing these things down or just grounding down into your own energy in order to sort of figure out, am I just being sensitive about this because I've had past friends who kind of hit me with this weird energy? Is this in my mind? Like being able to like kind of anchor down. And the thing about Neptune energy is that we don't oftentimes get the clarity all at once. Like Neptune is very foggy energy. So giving yourself permission, if it's still unclear, if you're still like in the friendship, but still like, I don't totally know your intentions, I'm going to kind of proceed slowly as I'm kind of figuring this out. Like Neptune can haze and confuse, and it's hazing and confusing our mental space. To a practical level, this happens at 8:34 a.m. It could be hard to get in the mood to go to work. Your mind could be in a dreamland. You could be anywhere besides the tasks that are in front of you. It could be very hard to pay attention to what's here. Your mind could be everywhere and anywhere, or just very sleepy, very drained. Just like, I don't want to do the tasks. I don't want to do the responsibilities. A lot of you could be just deep in dreamland, whether you had interesting dreams, like your daydreams are like really interesting. There is a dreamy vibe over Monday's astrology, really making us question like what is real and what is not. Whether this is showing up within like a crush, you're like, is this a vibe or is this in my head? No? Okay, yes. Or if you're sensing a weird vibe and you're like, is this in my head? Because also, not to go on another rant about this, but you know, it's important to find that balance this week because I don't want anyone to go in this week and be like, can't trust anyone, people are trying to copy me, things of that nature, because a lot of times when we have had troublesome experiences, it can make us want to shut ourselves off, right? It can make us not want to open up to someone new because we feel like they're going to steal our identity, right? And that's certainly not that ask either. It's just noting what's coming up intuitively as data and knowing that the eclipses could proceed the story a little bit more. It could have interesting revelations in relation to this friendship, and seeing where it is that you can just sort of allow yourself to flow with not knowing. That's the highest vibration of Neptune, because when it comes to Neptune energy, it can be an energy in which we don't know what's true or what's real. We don't know where it is that we're going. We could feel lost within our own worlds. But if you just kind of vibe with Neptune and just vibe with being lost around, I don't really know what's happening, but I'm just gonna move into the space around feeling lost and just float with it. Like that's the ask of Neptune. When I think of Neptune, I always think of a riptide where you could feel panicked when Neptune energy ensnares you, where it's like you want to swim back to shore. But the best thing to do in riptides is either swim to the side or allow it to pull you all the way out, so then you can swim to the side and get out of that, because you'll waste all your energy swimming against a riptide. And like that's the energy of Neptune. If you feel a sensation of feeling lost and be freaking out, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening, like you can burn out your energy. And like with Neptune, you just have to kind of sit with a moment around not knowing. It's like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm cool with that. I'm noting my intuition. I'm trusting the universe that true colors are being revealed. That's going to be a huge theme with the eclipses October 2023. Make sure to check out that video. I'll have it linked below. And just kind of like observing the data without feeling like you have to know right now. Like allowing yourself to kind of be pulled back by the riptide, be like, all right, I don't really know where I am. I don't really know what's going on, but I'm just going to trust that spirit has me within this present moment, because it really does. And that's something to take solace in as we navigate the entire month of astrology in October 2023. It's really anchoring into what makes you feel connected to a bigger picture, to a bigger purpose as well. Because with Mercury opposite Neptune, I would definitely say if you're having that energy around, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to do the tasks, this could be a day in which you're listening to music and you just want to cry because it just feels like it gets your soul so much. Or it could be an energy where you're listening to a podcast and you're like, oh my gosh, I want this person to be my best friend. They just get me. Like, so Neptune energy can be this higher level inspiration. It could be muse energy, but it's never going to transpire exactly how it is that we want it to. So just noticing the glimmers of what's interesting you, of what is resonating with you and your soul, and allowing that to be solace, right? Those little markers of what's inspiring you at this moment, what's motivating you at this moment. Because again, Neptune is an energy that is about dissolving and dissolving into connection. connection and reminding you, while there can be things that you're moving through that are making you feel alone, reminding yourself, whether it's through music or movies or art or media or what have you, reminding yourself that you are not alone. That when it comes to the human experience, so much of us are going through things at the same time. So whether it's connecting spiritually or just connecting via art or something bigger than yourself, there's just this ask around, you don't know what you're doing, but like quite literally no one else knows either. So let's just float in the sea of life. Like, that's the vibe of Mercury opposite Neptune. I also just want to say, if you happen to be watching this before 4 p.m. PDT, I just want to say my little Haley Comet birthday party live stream on YouTube will be held Monday, October 2nd at 4 p.m. PDT. If you want to join, we're going to do giveaways, eat cake, bring a cupcake. I loved that comment that I saw. Bring a beverage of your choice. It's going to be fun. We're going to chat about astrology. We're going to do some giveaways. We're going to celebrate. So I'd love to see you there. But other than that, what's happening on Monday? So on Monday, the moon is in Taurus all day, which we know is very grounded. It's very sensual, but the moon does meet up with Uranus and square Venus. So the beginning part of the day with Mercury opposite Neptune, like we are in la la land. Like we are anywhere besides our task. Like Neptune is dreamy, but it's like Neptune is dreamy, but it's like that energy when you really should be working on this research project, but you just found this new artist that you're like hyper fixated on, and now you're like deep diving into every interview that they've ever done. Learning all about them, and you're like, no, this is not where I wanted my inspiration to flow. Like Neptune can be boundless in that way and not directed in that way, so that's something you can be experiencing. And with Moon Uranus, there could be a rebellious part to the beginning part of the day around like, I want to do my own thing. I don't want you to tell me what to do. That's also supported by the square to Venus, but the afternoon is very productive. So it kind of feels like one of those mornings. Of course, look at your time zone because this may not be morning for you, but for those who have a similar time zone to myself, it's like one of those mornings when you kind of goof off. You're listening to all these artist interviews, you're daydreaming about you and your crush, you're making a Pinterest board, like your inspiration and creativity is going everywhere except where it should be. And then by afternoon, you're like, okay, I gotta do some things, because then we have a very productive earthy kind of connection within the cosmos. Starting really at 2:47 p.m., the Taurus moon sextiles Neptune in Pisces, where it's that energy around maybe our inspiration flowed in some weird ways, like we spent some of our mental energy like dreaming about all these alternate scenarios, some pleasant, some unpleasant, but maybe in deep diving into that artist or daydreaming or listening to music, a little glimmer of inspiration that we are feeling called to kind of anchor and ground comes up around kind of like 2:47 p.m. So there can be a dreamier, more compassionate, more romantic, more aesthetically pleasing vibe. I would definitely say that would be a nice time to, like, if there is something visual that you have to do within your job, that could be a nice energy. And it's helpful for detail orientation as well, because then the Taurus moon trines Mercury in Virgo, like between 3:41 p.m. to 6:20, at which point the moon is void. Like that is a nice earthy grounded energy around maybe we goofed up in the morning time a little bit. We wasted some working time like Googling what to do if new friend is copying your every move, or maybe you wrote a haiku instead of working. But by afternoon, you're rocking and rolling, because Earth is very grounded, it's very fertile, it's about things that we taste and touch and see and smell. So there's this energy around, okay, time to attune to the task, time to handle our business right. It is Libra season, so balance is key. And then the moon will be void at 6:20 until it enters Gemini at 10:03 p.m. And with the moon entering Gemini, it does promptly square Saturn after midnight, so like really Tuesday morning, Monday night. And so there can be certain limitations, energy around feeling like our energy hits a wall. Maybe we're overthinking. Like remember, Gemini moon is answering to Mercury, who's opposing Neptune. So we're overthinking, we're reading into, we're creating these false scenarios around how this person is going to break into our house and just utterly assume our identity, right? We're dreaming up these whole entire worlds. Or we're on the other side where we're like, no, you're being crazy, you're being insane. This is why you can't trust yourself, because you are not grounded within reality. It could be kind of swinging to either side. Again, balance. observing the intuitive data that's coming up while also observing, okay, what is fiction here? Like, what am I embellishing? What is not grounded within reality? Like, really striving to find that balanced perspective. So Tuesday, October 3rd, is great for connections. We have Gemini moon, which is about connection, and we have the sun in Libra, which is about harmony, which, as I said, I don't want you to feel like the people who have made you doubt your reality and the people who are trying to assume your identity or quite literally siphon creative energy off of you or anything of that nature. That is not the case for every single person. Like, you lose when you close yourself off to connections. Like, is discernment important? Is asking some deeper questions important? Absolutely. But I don't want you to feel that it's never safe again to make another friend, to play tennis with, or anything of that nature. And if anything, with Mercury trining Pluto, this feels like the energy within the vibe check that is about digging a little deeper. So saying to a friend like, hey, like, let's go to tennis at this time, and like really digging deeper around how'd you get into that anime that we both like? What were your tennis stats? Which high school did you go to again? Why did you dye your hair copper? Kind of investigating, diving a little bit deeper. With Mercury trining Pluto, there is this energy around empowering ourselves to sort of like ask and like plunge into the deeper nuances of a situation. Now, very few of us likely have a new friend where this exact scenario is happening, but there's almost this energy where it's like, if you are just going back and forth within your own mind around, is this real? Is this in my head? I don't know where it stands. Like, with this energy, if the situation does call for it, with the Mercury trine Pluto, it's like, what's beneath the surface here? How can I dig deeper? How can I ask some questions to get some answers, or even dive deep within my own thoughts? Like, journal about it, research about it, like kind of dig deeper into this, so that I'm no longer like questioning my own judgment in this like purgatory around, is this in my head? Is this not in my head? Can I trust myself? Can I not trust myself? So with Mercury trine Pluto, this would be an energy in which it's very helpful for anything that has to do with research or asking people questions, like interviewing people, or anything that has to do with psychology as well. Like with Mercury trine Pluto, this would be a great day to learn more about your astrology. It would be a great day to figure out your Enneagram, figure out your MBTI, or any of those things. Like with Mercury trine Pluto, it's helpful to kind of dig into what's beneath the surface. Because like I said, to a surface level, life is going by. Things feel typical and ordinary, but it's like, look deeper. Like, we all have these deep, rich inner worlds, and this experience of where it is that we find depth within this experience. Like with Mercury trine Pluto, it's like, where is it that I find depth within the mundane? Like with Mercury and Virgo, that's what I was saying. It's like, things look typical. We're going to work, we're playing tennis with a friend, like things look mundane. But with the trine to Pluto, there's dynamics kind of swirling underneath. And maybe you're finding this by like diving deeper into a craft or learning about something, or maybe you have like a deep conversation with someone at work. But with Pluto, it is the planet of death, and outside of death, no one's gonna die. It's this energy around what's beneath the surface. What is really going on? Did not come here to just do chores and laundry and all of these things. Like with the trine to Pluto and Mercury also at the anaretic degree, the 29th degree, it enters Libra the following day. There's this energy to want to dig deeper, whether it's dig deeper to understand this friendship and their intentions, dig deeper to want to understand ourselves, understand our coworkers better. There's just this energy around wanting to ask, okay, what's the story? What's really happening beneath the surface here? Because outside of the tasks and the errands, like, what is it that means something to me? Where is it that I am transforming? What are the underlying dynamics that aren't being talked about, but I feel? How can I dig deeper into it? And really, with the Gemini moon trining Libra sun, this is the waning gibbous moon phase, also called the disseminating moon phase. This is about sharing and connecting. And so this would be a great time to really prioritize being social, right? Like I said, it's not about closing yourself off from every single friend, but kind of suss it out, right? Because that's how you can figure out. Because for a lot of you, I'm sure this has happened as well, in that when we have a experience where something unsettling or something that makes us feel very uneasy occurs, oftentimes we swing to the other extreme where we just completely close ourselves off and we're like, no more, never again, never again. Whereas Mercury trine Pluto is kind of asking for discernment. It's like, how can I like ask questions or like kind of get some data before I like completely open up to this new person, just based on the data of what it is that I've moved through? Like, this is going to sound so silly, but something that I'm really proud of that I feel that I found that middle ground in is internet friends, because I had swung to the extreme around being just so open. And like a lot of my internet friends are anchored in astrology, spirituality. So I tend to assume if we have similar interests that I'm going to vibe with you. And there was one mutual, the mutual who taught me about balance. There was a mutual where I had been friends with this person for like 6 years or something. Like we had become friends when we were first starting our businesses. And she had a very similar craft to astrology in the same vein. And so I would get readings from her. She would get readings from me. We would just constantly cheerlead each other on social media, support one another. I would refer a lot of my clients to her and like vice versa. We were colleagues and I really liked her energy. Online, turns out people's energy online and IRL is different. It is different. Like again, discernment is needed. I was so open. So when she was like, let's collab in person, I'm coming out to visit you, I was like, heck yes, open my doors. I was so open. I wasn't really discerning. I'm not going to divulge all the details because I don't think you have like 2 hours to listen to the story of this weekend. Like it was a disaster, and these Magic Mondays are long enough as is. But let me just tell you how this experience ended. This experience ended with me being literally screamed at, like I've never been screamed at before. And like, listen, I'm someone, I completely shut down if someone's yelling at me. Like I completely shut down, and I was being screamed at, so much so that neighbors were coming out, checking on us. Like it was a lot. I think I ended out the weekend like being $800 in the hole based on expenses that went down surrounding the events of that weekend. I got my entire life ripped to shreds. My home that I invited her into, my car, like literally she was like, call yourself a successful astrologer, yet you're driving an early thousands Honda. And I'm like, can people leave me alone about my Honda? 2 years later, she's still running. So came for my house that I had invited her into, came for my car, came for even small details that I had shared with her, like details about my relationship were weaponized, thrown back at me. I'd even like shared that I had a nephew. Like at that point, he hadn't even turned 1. And that was even slung my way in this argument where she was like, and you call yourself an aunt and you don't even live in the same city as your nephew and you only visit him a couple times a year. Like literally every small detail that I had shared in confidence because I like thought we were friends, all of a sudden in this dispute was like hurled at me and like weaponized towards me around all of these thoughts around how she felt about my life. It was so violating. It was really a violating experience. And after that, I completely closed myself off. Like I even took off my website that you could not meet up with me in San Diego because I was like, I cannot meet anyone new. That's a friend, like a mutual who I'd had for years. I like really started to question myself. And like I had little instincts, like even as she was like mentioning that I was getting closer, like I had a weird vibe. I was like, you know, she's into spirituality, she's into this sort of work, like what could possibly go wrong? Girl, let me tell you, a lot went wrong. So much went wrong. And so I needed some time to heal. Okay, I swung to the other side where I drastically overcorrected and really guarded myself. Like in terms of my business, I would not meet up with clients in real life. Even just like other friendship opportunities of people wanting to hang out with me, I was like, nope, absolutely not. Nope, you're not gonna come for my entire life. Nope, I'm not gonna have the details that I share about my life because I think that we're vibing and that we're friends weaponized against me. Like I'm not gonna be around someone where they turn and attack me. Like that was such an intense experience. I've never experienced that before, nor since, and I'm hoping never again. I'm hoping never again. And again, the internet vibes were so good. Like the IRL vibes, I don't know what that was. And I wish that person the best. A lot went down that weekend, so I'm not saying that I proceeded with everything perfectly, but I know I did not deserve that. And so 2022, 2023 were my kind of like times of like opening up, being like, okay, being completely closed off is not serving me. It's time to be open, but with discernment. Like, let me take the data of what happened that weekend and let me learn from it. Because even though I wasted a lot of money that weekend and things went poorly, I gained something so much more valuable, which is wisdom and discernment, where it's like, now I'm not gonna like swing open my door to anyone, and I am discerning with who it is that I will connect with. But When I think about the experiences that I've had in 2022 and 2023, honestly, with a lot of you guys, like with a lot of subscribers, like being able to meet with you all in consultations, I've even gotten to go to like dinners and shows. Like when I think about the experiences that I've gotten from being able to be open, but with discernment, it's like I would have missed out on that if I'd stayed on the overcorrected side around, gotta stay safe, it's not safe, because listen, it's not safe to be wide open to every new friend or every new person who comes into your orbit. Like in the example of the vibe check, sometimes people can be trying to siphon, you know, your energy, your style, your personality. Like there are parasites, I'm not kidding, like who will want to feed on your essence. There will be people who want to manipulate and take from you, but that's such a small fraction. And I think with Mercury trine Pluto, it's just asking, okay, what's the data? How can I dig deeper here? How can I dig deeper? Maybe it would have behooved me a couple years ago when all that went down to ask some more questions as we were planning, like maybe plan some more calls, maybe figure out more details, maybe getting the Airbnb straightened away before she came out here so that she wouldn't have to be in my home. Like little things like that. Now I know, and I'm so much wiser for it. And I hate that I had to go through that experience around being so wounded that I was completely closed off. But I've come to a space where I'm discerning. I've learned. So what I want to say here is that with Mercury trine Pluto, yes, dig deeper, investigate, go beneath the surface, but take the data and continue evolving. So on Wednesday, the 4th, Mercury enters Libra. So Mercury is now peregrine. So it's shifting from territory where it loved being in Virgo. It's able to be its most detail-oriented energy. We weren't able to fully reap the benefits of Mercury in Virgo because it was obviously retrograde for a long portion of its journey, but now it's entering territory where it's neutral in. It doesn't perform extraordinarily well nor extraordinarily unwell. It's just a neutral energy. What you can expect within your universe is that there can be a strong desire mentally to want to weigh things out in order to find a balanced solution. But like I said with Libra energy, we can sometimes deliberate a lot or like really think about the pros and cons, or being like, well, this person wants me to be doing this, or this person wants me to be doing this. On one hand, this new friend is amazing because of this, but on this other hand, there's this other weird vibe that I can't exactly get to the bottom to. We could just notice this tendency within our mental processing around kind of weighing things out. But overall, with Mercury in Libra, you can definitely expect to want to be like communicating with your love more. Like with Mercury in Virgo, a lot more of our mental space was absorbed in the tasks and the errands and the to-dos. And with Mercury in Libra, we're wanting to connect via language, share via communication. That could be a huge spotlight that we are moving through. As well as with Mercury in Libra, you could just observe in regards to your own communication style, you may be wanting to sort of keep the peace. Like again, when it comes to the vibe check, if you were to just take the script of what's going down, it's like, hey, you want to go to tennis? Yes, let's go to tennis. You two play tennis together. You two get boba together. Like all of these tasks, nothing unordinary is happening. If you were to just take the script of the events, you wouldn't know anything was amiss. Like with Mercury in Libra, sometimes there could be a tendency when it comes to our language around wanting to keep the peace. I don't want to bring that up because I don't want to create a stir. Like let me just vibe. Let's just play tennis and go to boba. There's like a lot of things that aren't adding up, but whatever. I'll just let it slide. I'll just let it slide. Also on Wednesday, the Gemini moon will sextile Chiron in Aries, and then it'll trine Mars. So it does feel like a productive day. I will say seize the early morning. Like get yourself into momentum earlier in the morning, because then the Gemini moon squares Neptune, so our mind can just feel everywhere and anywhere. Emotionally, we could just be feeling so much more sensitive, like crying at cupcakes type beat, like just getting emotional at random things. Even with the energy of Gemini moon, hurting your own feelings by overthinking. Like, hurting your own feelings by overthinking, okay, is the vibe with Gemini moon squaring Neptune. Again, it's not saying that you're making it up within your head, but it's just saying, okay, how can I dig deeper into this? How can I kind of learn the truth? Like, so Mercury in Libra, there can be certain connections within our life where it's like all nice in person, like the conversation's good, but all I want to say is just honor what's stirring beneath you. Honor your intuition. Like, why does something feel a little bit off here? Or also on the other side of it, honor your intuition around who do you just feel drawn to. Like there are just some people that you just feel so drawn to, like a literal magnet. It's like, who are you? I don't know who you are, but I just feel so drawn to you. Like honor the intuitive hits that you get about people, whether that's on the I don't know what exactly that is, but that energy is kind of repelling me a little bit, or like, I don't know exactly what this is, but this energy is like magnetizing me a little bit. And the Gemini moon does sextile Venus in Leo, so this would be a nice time to, Venus is entering her fall this weekend. So this is like the last couple of days that we have Venus in territory that she likes. So really celebrate romance, maybe purchase things that are beautiful or conducive for your beauty. Like I will say, moving into the later part of this week with Venus at the anaretic degree, you could absolutely be wanting to spend all of the things or have an urgency in regards to love. So be mindful of that. But all I want to say is enjoy life. Find things that feel beautiful, do things that make you feel beautiful. On October 5th, the moon will enter Cancer at 8:32 a.m. This is the position of the moon's rulership, so it's comfy cozy here, but it is feeling all of the things. It's a little bit more nurturing, it's a little bit more emotional. We are now in the last quarter moon energy. The last quarter moon technically exacts on Friday. So I just tell you that because there could be a call with the moon in Cancer around wanting to withdraw, wanting to be home a little bit more, which is why I'm saying seize that Gemini moon, Libra sun energy. Like if you have social things that you want to put on the calendar, friends you want to see, put on your calendar when the sun's in Libra and the moon's in Gemini, like Tuesday and Wednesday, like that's connection energy, okay? When the moon enters Cancer, like yes, we might want to connect, but more so in the safety and the comfort of our own home, or we could just be feeling it called to kind of like hermit and withdraw energy, which honestly, moving into eclipse season is not always the worst idea. Like when it comes to eclipse season, things tend to be a little intense. Like my mentor, you don't have to go as extreme as this, but my mentor would not even go outside during eclipses. Like that's a traditional thing. Within some cultures, people would not go outside during eclipses. Like some cultures, I actually learned that eclipses are actually incredibly auspicious. In regards to astrology, it was typically something where they didn't necessarily go outside. I'm not saying you can't go outside during eclipses, but you might just want to protect your energy just a little bit because the outside world can just be a little chaotic, okay? So that's my advice there. And with the moon in Cancer, you might just be wanting to kind of like ground down, be cozy. Maybe you guys are somewhere where it's actually cold. It's like October is San Diego's hottest month for some reason. I don't know why. I'm like out here trying to like artificially create fall energy with my pumpkin chai. And it's just not a thing. So maybe for some of you where it's actually getting colder, fuzzy socks, something comforting like Cancer moon is an energy that has to do with the past and sentimental tradition. So there could be a call for that, absolutely. But there's this interesting bickering because the Cancer moon squares off with Mercury in Libra. And we know that the moon is extra moony in the sign Cancer, so it's very, very dialed into the realms of home and of memory as we discussed, but also like intuition and how your emotions feel. And it's almost like with the squared Mercury in Libra, it's like, well, logically, you've been friends with this person online for this many years. Like what could go wrong? Like logically, why would this individual be trying to copy you and take your partner? Like there's no reason for them to do that. Like logically, kind of like clashing with like, but something feels off, right? Or how this could come up mundane wise is just like a battle between the head and the heart around this is what I want, but this is what makes sense. Or maybe this is what other people want, but this is what I want. Like just kind of feeling this clash around even doubting or questioning your own sensitivity, or even doubting or questioning like, am I being too dramatic? Am I being too sensitive? Am I being too much? Am I being crazy? Is this in my head? Like a lot of us can be in the space where we're like questioning ourselves. And listen, it's Libra season. Sometimes we can reap interesting data when we do kind of allow ourselves to bounce off energy off others. But I think with the Cancer moon, it's just like, how do things sit within your soul? Like the more that you can really tune into that muscle of your intuition, that will never steer you wrong. And like, don't you hate those moments and those memories when you just knew that something was off, but you didn't listen? Like you let logic or what other people thought outwin. Like that's why the second that the vibe is off, I'm out. I don't care if it doesn't make any sense. I don't care if other people are like, come on, it'll be fun. I'm out. I'm so sorry. I've betrayed my intuition way too many times. Now, the second I feel like something is off, I'm like, I'm good. I'm so good. But the moment I also feel that something is right, I take action on it. Like the best thing that I can say, whether you have Cancer placements or just honestly all of us, like within the spiritual realm, is like really just get super well versed with your inner instincts. Like that is a barometer and that is like a GPS system that will not lead you astray. And it can be tempting, especially with Mercury and Libra, to allow other people's thoughts and feedbacks around, come on, it'll be fun. Or like, you're being crazy, I wasn't doing anything wrong, or however else you're feeling it, that can feel louder than like your inner landscape. So the best thing that I can say is like really get to know that inner landscape, understand how it is that your guides talk to you, understand some people feel their intuition in a very physical way, like a very body way, like sometimes they'll get little like body nudges. Some people get chills, I've heard, or feel really hot. Like you need to learn the language of how your spirit and how your intuition is speaking towards you, because that'll be a super accurate GPS for you personally around having discernment around these themes. So yes, honoring the data, but also honor the more mystical, mysterious data with the moon in Cancer. And shortly after the Cancer moon squares Mercury, like some of us could just be feeling this energy of indecision around, should I do this? Should I do this? But I will say it does feel like a productive day. The Cancer moon trine Saturn in Pisces, which is giving some like grounded, hardworking energy as it relates to our Thursday. Just of course, when the moon's in Cancer, we can be feeling a little bit more emotional. So just brace yourself for that. And then on Friday, that's when the last quarter moon tension reaches its height. It's called the crisis of spirit moon phase. And sometimes it can be marked with this sort of like now or never type feeling. And there can be certain sort of like aftershocks from the Aries full moon story kind of baked in and coming into our reality. So let me know, how was the Aries full moon for you? What came up? Did you have a temper tantrum? Did you honor your inner child? I would love to know. Last week's Magic Monday will be available above me as well as below. I'd love to know the tea. Okay, that's what we do. We drink our tea and we spill the tea. But when it comes to last quarter moon, it can be, yes, parts of that story of what transpired at the Aries full moon sort of baked into the day's astrology. But there can also be like an energy within our soul around really questioning what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel anchored. Like there really can be this energy where you're wanting to kind of cling to what makes you feel comforted or what feels familiar or what makes you feel at ease. Like what's coming to my awareness is like, you know, when you're sick and you just want like things of comfort around you, like you just want soup or tea or like a stuffed animal or a blankie, like you just want your comfort items. Like there's something about this last quarter moon that's kind of giving that around. You're kind of feeling this eclipse energy brewing and things could be feeling more intense or emotional or chaotic. And there's just this call around really wanting to ground down to what makes you feel at ease. Even if it's like small things, like on your work desk, having like an essential oil that you smell or like something that just brings you a sensation of like comfort or ease or familiarity as you're kind of treading into uncharted territory. Like there's something about that coming up on Friday, but there also could be a crisis coming up within our emotions of something that we're ready to release. It's going to be a theme moving into next week's Libra solar eclipse. So just observe the emotional revelations that do come to the surface on Friday, especially since yes, the Cancer moon does sextile Jupiter. So there can be things that are feeling good and feeling expansive, feeling very heart-centered, like working with your favorite coworker or having people that come into the office. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're here. Like little heartfelt moments. But also with the Cancer moon squaring Chiron, there's something sensitive. There's something sort of like pulling at your heartstrings. There's something that you miss. There's something that you're reminiscing on. Like when it comes to Cancer, it does have to do with the past. And with all this Pluto energy, it reminds us like the past no longer exists. Like our only option is to go forward. Like the pumpkin scones are gone. They're gone. The past is gone. We gotta go forward. And with that being said, it's like giving yourself permission October 2023 and beyond, honestly, to allow there to be that liminal space, to allow there to be that grieving period where it's like, when it comes to the eclipses, I go so much more in depth on the eclipse video, but there is something coming up around these eclipses around, there's an energy around grieving the past or grieving who we could have been or what could have happened. Like there's this attachment to the past and like allowing ourselves to feel the full vicinity of that grieving and of that letting go around, I'm fundamentally not the same person. Who knows who I'll be? Like October 2023 astrology may not make that abundantly clear. It's setting the stage to make that clearer, but it's really allowing who it is that you are no longer, it's letting that fall away. And that can be a grieving. Like sometimes it can be a literal grieving to think about who you used to be and how it is that you recognize that person and how it is that you don't recognize that person. There can even be a grieving around who would I have been if I was not in that toxic cycle? Who would I have been? Who would I have become if I had learned to trust myself at that time? Like, what could have unfolded? And again, it's like with the energy of Cancer Moon, we need to reminisce on the past. That's what gives us data, right? To be discerning around who we kind of allow into our orbit, but also understanding like what's done is done, what has progressed, and all we can do is kind of like lean into the evolution, but being gentle with your emotional processing of what it is that you're releasing at this time. So on Saturday, October 7th, good news, Venus finally clears the shadows. So Venus has been treading through Leo for a large portion of 2023. And you can check out the Venus retrograde in Leo. Just get caught up on that story. It's wrapping up with a nice little bow here. It's like, it's done, it's done, it's done. And with the Venus entering new terrain in the sky, it's like we can move forward. We figured out the Leo portion of the chart. We figured out what it is that we value. We figured out what it is that we value about ourselves, our self-expression, of course, based on where it is located within your chart. Onward we go. Like there's a huge vibe of October where it's like what's done is done. We can grieve it, but onward we go. Mercury and Venus are in new terrains of the sky, and we are in a new chapter ourselves, right? And so with Venus clearing the shadow, it's like all of that data, all of what we learned and kind of like excavated and healed within the Venus retrograde story, let's take that and apply it and integrate it into action. So there is this forward momentum happening where you could feel new developments building around finances. Like you're totally good if you have to make any financial decisions. Of course, like you'll want to make sure there's some nice Venus energy, but if you do need to make an investment or something of that nature, Venus is in new terrain. Same with Mercury. So a lot of forward momentum as it relates to projects and initiatives and even like entering a new relationship. Like Venus is giving us clearance, like we're releasing the past and we are moving on, right? We're taking what was learned and we're moving on. We're able to integrate. And it's also at the aneretic degree of Leo. So you could be wanting to buy all the things. You could be wanting to date all the people. There could be an urgency around, I just want to buy all the things, date all the people, eat all the food. There could be urgency around pleasure. Again, take advantage of it because Venus enters its fall tomorrow. And when it comes to lunar aspects, for most of Saturday, the moon will be in Cancer. It sextiles Uranus a little shortly after midnight. It trines Neptune and opposes Pluto. So you could be feeling more sensitive, okay? Like this is giving the sort of energy when you clean and you find mementos and then you're going through love letters, then you're missing old versions of yourself, like it's giving that. And again, with the opposition to Pluto, there could be this distinct realizing around the grieving that is involved in every day. And again, I keep saying this word and I hope that it's not coming off as like morbid or fear-mongering. That's never my style. And I don't want anyone to like panic, like, oh, what am I grieving? But I think a lot of times Pluto just snaps us into the urgency and the awareness of this particular moment. Good morning, like every single day we are grieving the day prior. Like things can feel mundane to a practical level. And like for some of you, if things have been feeling stagnant, you've been moving through something really challenging, it can feel like Groundhog's Day every day. But the opposition to Pluto, it's just kind of like seizing the urgency that's showing up within this present moment where it's like, yes, we can grieve the past and reminisce and take the data from the past, okay? But like seizing the urgency around, I will miss and grieve this period of my life. How can I really live my life with this urgency and this immediacy? Like there's so much about this experience that's so tragic and so heartbreaking and so cruel. And then there's so much about this experience that is so beautiful and so synchronistic and so loving and so aligned. It's almost overwhelming to be a witness to all of it and just observe all of it. So it just feels like Saturday's astrology is the sort of vibe where you listen to a song and you just feel so seen after so long of feeling not seen, or when you are so missing somebody who has departed planet Earth and then you see a symbol or a sign that reminds you of them. Like those bittersweet moments of being like, yes, plunged into pain and sadness or even like loss or fear, what have you, but also feeling these trickles around feeling more connected to humanity overall as a result. Andrew Garfield wrote this beautiful, beautiful poem. I'm gonna find it and put it on. Editing Haley here. I could not in good conscience allow you to hear me completely butcher this beautiful quote from Andrew Garfield because he puts it so much more beautifully than my horrible paraphrasing. So this is actually from an interview in Believer magazine, and it's around the time that he had lost his mother. And the quote reads, "I went for a walk on the beach. The sun was setting and it was freezing. I found I needed to jump, so I just jumped into the ocean. And it's funny, as soon as my full body and head were submerged, it was like I got the medicine and my chest released and I let it all go. My interpretation of that moment was that it was the wisdom of nature, the wisdom of the earth, the wisdom of the ocean, letting me know, hey, yeah, it's hard, it's horrible. I'm not taking away the unique pain you're feeling. But just so you know, us out here, us water molecules, we've been seeing this for millennia. And actually, this is the best case scenario for you to lose her rather than for her to lose you. This is a much better situation." And again, my ego was holding on. My ego thought I knew better. My ego said, no, this doesn't make sense. No, no, no. It should be this way. It should be that way. But actually, it took the ocean, the greater opponent, to just hold me under and say, it's really horrible. And sons have been losing their mothers for thousands and thousands of years, and they will continue to. And you've just been initiated into that awareness and into that reality. Some illusion has been lifted. You're in a realer version of the world now, and it's painful. And can I just say, shout out Andrew Garfield, because he likes astrology, which we love. He talks about it in multiple interviews. We love it. We love it. So anyways, Saturday's energy feels like that, like those bittersweet moments where it's like, I'm sad, I'm grieving this relationship, I'm letting go of this era, but there's something about this where I feel more connected, right? As a result, or I have this deeper wisdom. There's just something coming through with the Cancer moon trining Neptune, opposing Pluto on that note. There's also the Cancer moon does square Mars and Libra, so you can be battling some passive aggressive themes. To that I say, just be cautious. With Mars and Pluto, there's this energy where it's cutting those that you love and those that you're partnered with Mars and Libra, and being kind of sneaky about it. So just be cautious if you're feeling this tendency to sneak diss or to get competitive with your partner or to, be aggressive. I don't know. There's something coming through with that because Mars square Pluto builds the following day. So all I want to say is just observe where that's coming up and see where it is that you can choose to use communication, talk things out. Don't try to be a hater on the low. That's something to be avoided this weekend. The moon will be void after it opposes Pluto at 12:12 until it enters Leo at 4:24 p.m. So again, this should be kind of an invitation out of the feels a little bit more, kind of embodying this creative, heart-centered energy of Leo. And again, even though we're kind of out of the feels of Cancer moon, we are in the waning crescent moon phase. This is the final moon phase, so it is about sort of clearing and releasing. So you might not be feeling as social, you might not be feeling as out in the world. Just honor what it is that's stirring within you and what it is that you're craving at this time. So on Sunday, October 8th, we have Mars in Libra squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So like I said, Mars is not comfy cozy in this terrain. So the way that people are going to be a little jealous of you or competitive with you or sneak dissing you is not going to be very overt. It's giving kind of a frenemy vibe where you're do you like me or are you my number one hater? I don't really know for sure. Because like I said, with the energy in Libra, it's words that are dripped in honey. It's said in a sweet tone. It's those words when someone says oh, you're so bold for wearing something like that. Or are you sick? You look so pale. Things where it's to a surface level, it's nice, but there's a vibe underneath that you're not crazy about. And so with Mars square Pluto, some of us can be feeling that around, are you being competitive with me? I thought we were friends. So it's such a sad dynamic within connections when you're I thought we were friends. Why are you being competitive with me? Why are you trying to take my partner? What? What is going on, right? And so with this energy of Mars and Libra squaring Pluto, the thing about this aspect is that it can be this energy that's an at all costs energy. Mars is about going after what it is that we want. I am the target. That is what I want. And with the square to Pluto, it's no matter what I have to do, no matter what I have to destroy, no matter who I have to destroy with Mars and Libra. Like I said, Mars is how we get our way. Libra can be through charm, charisma, and even other people. Who knows what aim this new friend is trying to get through you? This could have been something that was targeted, right? Like she learned this information around you, that you like tennis, that you like anime, so that you would think that she was your friend, or that she could like mirror you and like take on your personality. Who knows what her aim is? But with Mars square Pluto, it's like this energy around, I will trample over whoever it is that I need in order to get what it is that I want. And if you have this energy within your birth chart, I'm not saying all of us are this very Machiavellian sort of people. Like I have this with my birth chart, and like I would not consider myself somebody who will trample over anybody to get what it is that I want. But what I will say, and this is the part about Mars square Pluto, is that oftentimes haters can be an energy that like drives you even more so. It's like almost fuel for you. Like if someone doubts you, like there's almost this energy around, I will show them no matter what. And it's like, I have Mercury conjoining Mars, hence why I talk so fast, squaring Pluto. So it's like when I'm in the zone, when I want something, like no matter what, I will get it. Like that's the energy of Pluto around, no matter what it is that I want, I will do what's necessary. Now, you have to have strong integrity when you have Pluto energy, because sometimes it can be energy that tilts you over to the dark side. You do need to be anchored within your personal integrity. But one way I will say that this energy has really shown up beautifully within my world is like every time somebody doubts me, it just like fires me up where I've got to prove them wrong. And it's never about them. It's always just something within me where it's just like, I'll show them. Because again, Mars is about fighting and advocacy. And again, I'll never like be overt, be competitive, but I just let actions and like my success beat the noise. Like I remember, I'm telling a lot of stories, I apologize, but I remember I was on this first date. It was the worst date I've ever been on. First date, worst date with this individual. And we were talking about books, as one does on a date. And I asked him what his favorite book was. And he said, I can't tell you because it's dangerous. I was like, well, now I'm intrigued. Now I need to dig deeper and understand more. I also have Mercury square Pluto with my birth chart. So I'm like, like, tell me. And so he's like, the 4-Hour Work Week, which is like very much a very well-known book. Like I thought he was gonna say some like sacred brand book that you cannot buy on the shelves. I'm like, 4-Hour Work Week, like the one that's like featured prominently in the entrepreneurship at Barnes & Noble. That's like your secret, like, I can't tell you book, like be for real. So I was like, why is that dangerous? Like straight up, why is that dangerous? Like I hear it recommended all the time on business podcasts. And he's like, well, it's dangerous for people like you. And I was like, people like me? What am I like? Please let me know. It's a first date. How do you know so much about like, what? People like me, what do you mean? And he's like, it's dangerous because it'll make you want to start a business. And I'm like, why would that be dangerous for someone like me? And he's like, people like you who don't have that fire within them, like who don't have what it takes to like have a business. Like this book would be dangerous for you to read because then you would want this lifestyle and you're not fit for this lifestyle. And again, my business is a heart-centered, soul-centered endeavor that really functions more so as a calling. Like I love what it is that I do. Like, trust me, I did not found my business with the intention around, I'll prove that random Sagittarius man wrong. But I will say that was like a driver, that was like a motivator around people like me who don't have fire, who can't start a business. Like something within me just lit up within that moment. And again, I use that as fuel. It stopped being about him. It was almost like he was this essentially placeholder for this energy of doubt or assumptions that people made about me that I just kind of used in order to like catalyze my own business. Once you get to the space where like your own success speaks for itself. So it's like, if you are in like a weird competitive dynamic, like use that as fuel, but stay focused on winning your race. Like again, initially I went into it like, you'll see who has fire, like you'll see. Like I literally never talked to that man again. Like he's so insignificant to the story, but that experience and being told you can't do something, that's the energy of Mars square Pluto. Like I'll show you. I'll show you who has fire, okay? I'll show you who this book is dangerous for, okay? I'll show you. Like again, Mars square Pluto can be this energy around, I want to prove someone wrong, I want to go after what it is that I want, but it can be this energy where it's like, I'll do whatever it takes in order to win, right? And that can be helpful when it comes to personal ambitions, but just being conscious if people are throwing energy your way, where it's like jealous energy, or again, like within the vibe check, someone's trying to be you, they're trying to copy you, they're copying your ideas, they're siphoning from your energy. Like Pluto can be a very vampiric, draining energy, where with the energy of Mars square Pluto, people can be trying to, battle with you in secret, like to a surface level, it's like everything's fine and we're chatting, but you're like just feeling something weird beneath the surface. You're like, maybe you're feeling this in business, where you're like, you just came out with a product that's very similar to my product a couple days after you followed me. Like, interesting. Yet you're nice to my face while stealing my ideas and my hard work behind my back. And so what I want to say, if you're experiencing weird energy like that, however you're feeling this come up, use it as fuel. Like, that's the ask of Pluto, to transmute this hater energy into fueling your own race. And again, it's a square. So absolutely, there could be conflicts this weekend. People could be full of rage. Like, literally, Pluto goes deep. It goes extreme. So people could be rageful and intense, screaming at you about your 2002 Honda and that you only visit your nephew a couple times a year type beat. Like, vicious, rageful vibes, sometimes with Mars square Pluto. Or it could be this energy around interesting, and then just using that experience as fuel and winning and letting success be the noise. Because again, when people come at you with this weird energy, it's because they are trying to sabotage you. And if they are trying to sabotage you, you're already in the lead. Because nobody tries to sabotage people that they feel that they are above. Like, if people do hit you with weird energy, it's because they perceive you as a threat. So whether they try to get really close to you and mirror you in order to find out all this intel and take whatever it is that they want from your life, or however it is that you feel this energy, use that as fuel. Because the thing is, when someone bites off you or siphons off you, I know what they say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I hate it. I know my Aquarius placements feel me on that. It's true, right? But what I want to say is this: if someone bites off you, that's already acknowledging that they do not have that resource within them. And the thing about, if someone takes your idea, takes your style, dyes their hair red, tries to get your partner, like whatever it is that they are doing to try to sabotage your journey, that indicates a lack and a scarcity within them. Like, they have to siphon off your creativity because they don't have any. They have to siphon off your style because they haven't figured it out. They have to take on your interests and hobbies because they haven't dived in. Like, they are literally outsourcing their individuality, which, if it's available to you, exert some empathy if possible. But sometimes it's just that energy around whatever, because I have 3 more iterations, even more powerful within me. So you can have that style. You can have the red hair. It didn't look good in my complexion anyway. You can have the little tidbits that you learned from me about tennis, like whatever. I have more within me. And like, if someone copies a business idea or a creative idea, it's like that is signifying a detriment within their own being. And like, the thing is, if you had the ability to create that, you can create more. You have a reservoir within you. Like, with the square to Pluto, fear not the transformation, and fear not this regenerative energy of Pluto, where it's like, there's more where that came from. Okay, you can have that idea, you can have that style, you can have the red hair, whatever. And how sad would it be to live a life where you're trying to be me? All I'm saying is that there's some sneaky energy happening beneath the surface. And with Mars square Pluto, if you do get mad, that's fuel. If something angers you, that's fuel. If someone's trying to try you, that's fuel. Be competitive with you, that's fuel for your journey, for your ambition and your success. Like, you do not personally need to get involved or sabotage or even pay them any mind. Like, focus on your own journey. You can use it as fuel, right? Eventually it'll stop being about that random Sagittarius who told me I didn't have the fire in me. It'll stop being about that person who took your idea. Like, it stops being about them, but sometimes it could be this energy run. I'll show them. Like, they took that idea, whatever, I'll create something even more powerful, copyright it, and 3x their income. Like, there's just an energy around, they'll see. And it's like, it's not about them. Like, you can use that initially, but at the end of the day, it's not about them. Like, it's about me. And I'm going to use that energy to fuel my own journey because I have it within me. I can regenerate. I can transform. Also on Sunday, Venus enters its fall, the sign Virgo. So Mercury leaves its exaltation this week, and then Venus moves into her fall this week. So we have 2 planets that are shifting into inferior positions, like wah, wah, wah. So, you know, when we have planets in uncomfortable territories, we can feel like we're in some growing pains or kind of like uncomfortable territory ourselves. And with Venus in Virgo, I'll be straight up with you. You could be getting the ick. You could be getting the ick. With people you're dating, you're like, ugh. Like me on that date with that Sagittarius, I was like, please. I was like, please. And it sucks when something like that goes down because it was only an appetizer and I was like, I have to sit through entree. This dude ordered dessert when I was like so not engaged with the conversation. I was like, please do not order a dessert right now. And then he had to take a work call. It was like 10 p.m. I'm like, that's not a very 4-hour work week of you. And just to say, I did read that book and it was not dangerous. Like, get over yourself. Like, are you kidding me? Anyways, it was actually kind of a blessing because I remember after that, I was like, I need a pause from dating. Like, I just need a pause. I need a second. Like, let me just work on my own stuff. Like let me focus on my own goals, whatever. Like, I have that fire of like this invisible enemy. With Mars Pluto, there's oftentimes a verbiage around the invisible enemy or like fighting against an invisible enemy. And that's the energy of Mars square Pluto. It's like, that was just a random dude. Like someone who doubts you might be a random person to the story. And it's like with Mars square Pluto, it's like fighting against somebody who's like invisible or like not really there. But again, you can use it as fuel. Like for me, it was like, I'll show that person. And there was like that vibe around, sometimes it could be paranoia or like fighting with invisible like ops or something of that nature, which you do need to be mindful of with Pluto energy, feeling like everyone is opponent or everyone's out to get you. It's not that everyone's out to get you. You just need to be discerning. Like that's the ask. Like I literally shifted into hustle mode after that, like working on my own aspirations. This man did not matter to my story whatsoever, but that was like fuel for me for a couple of months to like get up early before my 9 to 5 and like work on stuff because I'm like, I'll show him. I'm gonna like find him online and like did it. Like who doesn't have the fire within them now? Like I don't care enough, but that was helpful within the journey at that point to just like light a fire in me. And so I highlight that just because with Venus and Virgo, whether you're kind of getting more critical as it relates to your love relationship, like being like, okay, I love you, but I don't love the way that you chew. You could be getting the ick on yourself and like your habits, like being like, I need to start eating better. I need to start doing things better. There could be this urge to like beautify yourself through kind of like nutrition and skincare, like simplistic matters of Virgo energy. But we're not in the mood to just enjoy ourselves and just gaze into one another's eyes. Venus and Virgo is an energy around like, why are we gazing? Why do you want to run in the sand at sunset holding my hand? Like I'm gonna get sand in my shoes. Like that's the vibe of Venus and Virgo, in which we could be a little bit more attuned to the efficiency and the to-dos. And honestly, with Venus and Virgo, it's a great time to show your self-love via showing up for your work, showing up for your habits, showing up for your health. But when it comes to love and romance, it could be a vibe where you're just like, if you're dating, you're just kind of like, I'm good. I've seen what I need to see out in the market for now. And I need a second. Or like within your love relationship, just kind of like observing all of these little things that are bothering you. Venus is in its fall in Virgo. It doesn't like to be here because Virgo is around optimizing, and people don't like to feel optimized and told how they could be doing better and improve. Again, we could be perceiving love language through essentially acts of service, people, cleaning for us, organizing for us, running our errands for us, getting our gas for us. Can you let me know what's your love language if you ascribe to that theory? Is it physical touch? Is it acts of service? Is it quality time? What's the last one? Is it gifts? Let me know below. My boyfriend and I do not live together, but for some reason, whenever he misses me, I'm like not mad at this. Whenever he misses me, he'll come over and organize things, buy me all this storage stuff, organize it. I went to Ojai and he organized my suitcases in my pantry and my work closet. And then I went to my hometown and he organized all of my shoes, and he put all of my clothes are now on pink velvet hangers, like organized by the different clothes that they are. He's such an angel. And he got me like a new hamper. He got me like a new vacuum. Like he very much shows his love. Like to some people that might not be romantic. They might be like, girl, I would so much rather, the chocolates and the flowers. And like he does that too. But like main thing, let me make your life easier. I wish I could go back to the me that was on that date with that Sagittarius and like tell that Haley, do not worry. Someone is coming into your universe who is not only going to believe that you have the potential to create a business, fundamentally is going to help you build it. Because the reason he does all that is so that I have the space to like work and build my business. Like he has so much respect for what it is that I do, that's what he does, to simplify and like organize my life. And then from a lunar perspective, the Leo moon will sextile Mercury in Libra in the morning time and then square Jupiter in Taurus. So great time to feel good. If Venus in Virgo is giving you the ick too much, it's a good time to feel good, be around beautiful environments, have lovely conversations with those that you hold dear. And with that being said, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is I balance my dreaminess with discernment. This is very much speaking to the Mercury and Virgo opposing Neptune and Pisces energy, but as well as just overall as it relates to eclipse season, is that when it comes to the Pluto energy within the cosmos, there is this energy around wanting to plunge deeper, wanting to investigate, and maybe even having to kind of conquer fears and go through shifts and go through evolutions. And a lot of times when it comes to Pluto energy, we could be feeling really paranoid, whether it's like paranoid about not wanting to let people in, paranoid about not wanting to get hurt. And again, when we close ourselves off to life, we miss out on so many experiences. Like Pluto is about the urgency of life within all of its shades, within the horrible experiences and the most beautiful experiences, and how one extreme really amplifies and complements the other. And so we can't block ourselves off or pat ourselves off from experiencing any sort of hurt, because that is part of the human experience. But we also can't swing to the side around feeling like nothing in this universe is going to hurt us, being in this very dreamy energy, right? Like we have a lot of the cosmos in Libra. We have Venus in Leo for most of the week. It does enter Virgo, which are very heart-centered, like loving energies, where it's like if we find someone that we like yes, we want to pour into them. Like yes, we want to open up and reveal all these things. But the way that this world is cut out, it's just important to have that level of discernment and just have those little check-ins in regards to your intuition around when something feels off, when it's more optimal to protect your energy, when it's more optimal to protect your peace, and not allowing those experiences to make you fundamentally stop believing in humanity. Because that's what's so sad about experiences like that, is that it can make you be like, humanity's rotten and cruel. And like, don't get me wrong, there are people like that out there, right? And it does kind of sharpen into awareness. Ooh, I need to be discerning. Like I need to be conscious around who I let into my orbit, right? The details I share could be weaponized against me, or my own likeness can be imitated, or my interests could be imitated or siphoned on. Like those experiences, you do get wiser, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But there's also so much beauty within humanity, and you really don't want the bad guys. Again, it's so much more than black and white, but you don't want the dark forces within this world to win by shutting yourself off from the fact that there are so many kind, compassionate souls within this world. I just want to say that because I think moving into eclipse season, a lot of us are going to have little bits of information exposed about people within our orbit, about people at work, things of that nature. And I want you to know if something does come up about someone like that was revealed to you because God wanted you to know that. Universe wanted you to know that. Like this is for your protection. Taking the data, being gentle with your healing process, but also knowing that there are so many amazing people in the world who will not do to you what has been done to you. Okay, I just want to make that clear. So balance the dreaminess, the romantic side. I feel like October is such a beautiful month. Like romanticize October, find the dreaminess in your life, but just make sure to balance it with discernment around, okay, what's going on here? So my loves, if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and drop the little emoji of like the punching glove, or use the word punch within a sentence. I always love seeing what you guys come up with. It's so much fun. The punch is a little challenging, so we'll see what comes up there. And again, it's not that we're punching and like fighting the world, but again, we could feel like people are making us the invisible enemy. Like, why are you being competitive with me? Like, we are friends. Like, why are you trying to steal my partner? Like, why are you stealing my ideas? Like, again, this invisible enemy energy, but also using these experiences to catalyze and like fight our way towards what it is that we want can be a part of Mars square Pluto. So my loves, until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay calm.